This video is a section from my presentation at Node last year. Node is an amazing motion design conference in Melbourne, Australia. It's normally held in November, but not so much this year. So here's me giving 6 tips for online success with personal projects, and a link to the full presentation is in the description below as well. Six tips for online success, personal projects. Because if I've learned anything from making stuff online, people love a list. So, number one is to make time. You have to make time for your personal projects, otherwise they won't happen. If they won't happen, no one sees them. And be really realistic about what time you can actually spare. I think it's best to actually calculate what time you have, what time you need for your client work, for sleeping, for dinner, for time with your spouse, for socializing, for episodes of Watchmen, whatever you need, the necessities, get that in there, and then figure out how much time you've got left to work on personal projects. Because if you've only got 2 hours to work on personal projects, that's fine. That's, do that and do it well and work hard in that time. But don't try to, but I'll try to squeeze in 6 hours, because you're just going to be frustrated every time, all the time you're not making the personal work, trying to make that work. And then the time you're making it, you're like, trying to rush and, get it done. So be realistic and, go hard. Don't go too hard on yourself. And take it slow. Consistency is far more important than anything for building an audience. It is a marathon. Like, everyone in this room is probably going to have another 40 to 60 years maybe of a creative career. I know a lot of you are like, I'm too tired for that. But, it's going to be a lot longer than you think. And trying to go viral, I think, is a really bad strategy. The equivalent financial advice would be, buying a lottery ticket. Someone's going to win. Something's going to go viral that week, but it's not going to be the majority of people. So I think a better strategy is, buy lots of lottery tickets, make a lot of personal projects, and enjoy the process, because that is the only thing you can control. You cannot control the output. Any project that you think is going to go well normally doesn't. I found the best indicator of whether or not something, gets a better reception on Instagram is what I spend the least time doing seems to pay off. But the response is up to them. You don't decide that, so try to keep that out of your head as much as possible. You can only control the process and the product. And be generous. I found that people don't want you in their life, or more importantly, in their feed, if you're not providing them with value in some way, whether that's information, entertainment, or inspiration. Information is by far the easiest to quantify, so that's why I've made tutorials, because people can deny if it was entertaining or not. They can't deny whether I didn't tell them for 40 minutes how to animate grain. And share the process. That was number 2. That was a quiet one. Showing the process, I think, builds a much deeper connection with the audience, particularly the audience that you already have. I think this is the reason why, let's say, people not in the creative industries really love hyper-realistic portraits of Morgan Freeman done with like a ballpoint pen and paper. Sometimes it's Heath Ledger, sometimes it's Walter White. It's mainly Morgan Freeman, though. And because I think they see that work and they think, wow, I work with, pen and paper every day. And I've tried to draw a face and I can't do anything like that. They can see how much time and dedication goes into that. And, a lot of time and dedication does. We might see it and think, some hack copied a photo, but, may as well take a photo and put a filter on it. But they can understand the value and appreciate it. And that same person, might see the craziest, 3D spot from one of the biggest studios, and it's got cell animation, the acting's beautiful, the timing, everything's incredible. Or they even see, a 3D animated film by Pixar, and they think, a computer did that. Because there's such a big gap between the output and what the person understands as a human. They need to see, I think, how a human hand was involved in that. And I think we should try to lead people with little breadcrumbs to show how the process was made. So that might be, showing some storyboards. And then it's like, this just started as an idea, some notes, some storyboards here. Then we move on to an animatic, and then some really rough animation, and there's, some animation without effects, and take them on that journey. And I think when you take people on that journey, they feel the bigger part of the animation, or like a bigger part of the process, and connect to it quite a bit more. That's certainly what I found, and I get a much bigger response when I show a process of an animation than I ever did, actually just publishing the final work. One of the reasons I went to YouTube was I was like frustrated with like Instagram. You work on a project for four weeks, you put it on there, and it's got 12 hours for people to care about it, and after that, it's done, and no one's going to remember it. So I thought in YouTube, at least people are going to be searching, in 20 years, how did they make grain back in the old days? And hopefully they find me, and I'll get that ad revenue from in 2040. And also, and I figured, well, I can make an animation, stick it on Instagram, and maybe it'll take off, maybe people will like it. But if I make a video, 10 minutes showing people how they can make it, that gets far more views, and that can live on YouTube and, live on forever, and hopefully get those ad revenue dollars. And also, I put that slide up earlier about how the YouTube channel's going, just so, people know that I'm completely willing and open to talk about that. That's the most I ever get asked about these days is, how's the YouTube, how does that work? How does it all go down? So in the Q&A, hit me with any questions. I'll answer them as honestly as I can. And the last tip is to collaborate. Collaboration is good for a number of reasons. One is that you get to work with so many awesome people and meet new people and try new styles. Last year was my first ever NodeFest, and I knew one other person in this industry, and I was waiting outside the doors for them to arrive so I didn't look like a lonely person wandering around. And in this last year, I've got to work with so many of you, got to meet even more and talk to more of you online. So I know a lot of you now, and I'm hoping to double that tonight at the after party. So everyone here is friendly and just wants someone else to introduce themselves to them first. So talk to everyone, it's fine. And I want to end with a really practical tip. If you're unsure how to start a collaboration, if you don't want to, who do I approach? How do I say things like that? I think the best way to start, a real practical way that I've been doing this lately, is find someone, ideally someone that you already know, that you're friends with, or even if you follow each other online and know of each other, approach them and say, hey, how about you design something for me to animate? I'll design something for you to animate. We'll spend a day on design, day on animation, and let's meet back here in a month. And if you were to do that, spend that same time on just making something of yourself, you spend 2 days and you've got one post to put on your feed. But if you do that with someone else, you've got 2 posts to put on your feed and 2 posts to put on their feed. So you've quadrupled the reach, and half of it's to a separate audience. And if you're really clever, the real pro move to get the most bang out of your buck for doing your work is when you get the initial designs, your design's ready, their design's ready, put those both on your feed, and for each one say, hey, Jill designed this for me to animate, how should I tackle it? You're engaging your own audience, you're building up anticipation because they want to see, they're going to go over to their page, check out their work to see what, how are they working, what could they apply to this? And then, in the 2 weeks or whenever the animation's done, you post the final works, both on your page. And then a week later, you post a breakdown. And, the breakdown doesn't have to be complicated at all. It could be, just, oh, here's the design, here's the rough, here's a clip of it without any texture, without any effects. And then here's the final thing, just, version your After Effects files, just get the comps from the old ones and just line them all up and add a bit of text underneath. It doesn't have to be crazy fancy at all. So if you do that, you get each project would have 3 posts, the design, the animation, and then the walkthrough. And then, so you've got, for both projects, that's 6 posts in total, 6 posts on your feed, 6 posts on their feed, 12 posts in total. You've dodeca multiplied your output, and half of it's to a different audience. And I really think that, I know it's not the same amount of work. It takes time to post and make these breakdowns. I'm not saying, it's not extra work to do that. I think that's why a lot of us are discouraged. But I really think it can be worth it to, really get people involved and, hopefully get a bit more traction so more people can see your work and enjoy it. I think the personal projects are the best way to improve your skills and reach new audiences in this industry and keep yourself sane as well. So make more art and make it for yourself. Thank you. If you'd like to learn animation and motion design techniques, I've got a playlist of some of the best tutorials on this channel for you to take a look at. I'll see you in the next one.